live in a second, yeah. We should be live.
Okay. All right. First and foremost, we're gonna say all praises be to unto Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Hashem, Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Hashem,
Hashem
Kodash.
Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great most honor, Shalom, to the sincere elect teaching the truth. And we back here through the spirit of the Lord for a part two to our lesson that we did yesterday. You know, following on the same topic of this MOTB system that's about to be established upon this earth, and in terms of how people you know are about to experience mass food shortages and mass control is about to take place, man. The so-called freedoms in which they have, are about to be stripped away completely, and it's following on the theme of the parallels of Genesis, for the 47th chapter. With the whole everything that took place back then. You know what I mean, and like in Egypt and Joseph. When food shortages was taking place, basically, people was found themselves giving up more and more of their rights. And now, in this day and age, that's about to happen on a whole another level with these global crises that have been taking place, man. So obviously, without further ado, if we have any open scriptures, you know what I mean, hey, let's get into it.
Yeah, can we get Daniel's what was it 12 and Daniel's 12 and 2? Baba Kasha.
Daniel 12 and 2, it says, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake.
Sorry. 1 verse 1.
Daniel 12 and 1, yeah. It says, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and it shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Right. So it says a time of trouble, as there's never been since there was a nation. That means the judgment that's about to come down on the pipeline is unprecedented. Is never been seen before on this kind of scale. The crises that are going to envelop the earth. So just like this famine that's coming down the pipeline, it's never been seen before, and a lot of people, because something of this degree has never been seen or experienced, they're not ready mentally and prepared to even think that it's a possibility, especially in the West. Something like a famine where people in the West are actually dying of starvation that's science fiction to them. Because they've been used to abundance. Even if you're poor in the West, you can eat. You could get obese. Yeah, I mean. So a lot of circumstances are going cross paths that's going to create an unprecedented crisis, man. That's so true. It's not just one thing. It's a myriad of things culminating in just pure judgment. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to bring that real quick.
Okay.
I think we was going to start off, since we're going into the famine, looking at another aspect that brings famine, which is the weather. Famine can come through, various what's it called?
Means.
Sometimes it's logistics of the food itself, getting the food from A to B. Sometimes it's a breakdown in the process of actually growing the food, whether it be not having enough fertilizers, not having enough seeds, not having enough water due to drought, not having too much water due to flood, wrong temperatures, all sorts. And if you have multiple of these things happening at the same time, then yeah, your goose is cooked, as they say. And that's pretty much what we're seeing. We're seeing that not only is the bread base being undermined over the last decade or two, but you're having the situation with Iran with the fertilizer, the fuel costs. Farmers are already in debt. You got now the super El Nino about to mash the weather up even more. So we're gonna get into that. and it's a spirit that happened to be this year.
Mm-hmm.
Great timing.
Yep. Oh, you want to hit play? Yep.
Yeah, you can drop it like 1.25 if it makes it easier or something like that.
Across the Pacific Ocean, something is happening that could change the world's weather. It's called El Nino, and it's a global weather.
You know what's like that's me, my things. So let me just turn off my Bluetooth. That should fix it. Sorry.
Phenomenon that can reshape the weather, food and temperatures worldwide. Depending on where you are, it can mean devastating floods, extreme droughts, intense heat waves or raging wildfires. And this year, it's looking increasingly likely it's going to be strong, really strong. I'm Simon King, a lead weather presenter and meteorologist at the BBC. So let me explain how it works and what it could mean for us. El Nino is a natural climate pattern where the tropical Pacific Ocean warms up well above normal levels. Think of the Pacific like a radiator. When it's turned on, the heat transfers into the atmosphere, boosting the global average temperature. You might have also heard of La Nina, and that's the cooler than average phase. We were just in that phase last winter, but now the tropical Pacific is warming up very quickly. And the latest data suggests we're already close to or even past the threshold for El Nino to begin. It can bring chaos to weather patterns all over the world, and it's expected to keep building, peaking in strength later this year. So how strong could it get? Well, forecasters around the world use different models to predict El Nino, and right now they're all pointing in the same direction. The Pacific is warming fast. US forecasters say that El Nino will officially form within the next month, and by late autumn or early winter, there's a 2 in 3 chance it will become strong or even very strong. Australian forecasters have similar predictions, and European forecasters say that around half of their models show it could be one of the strongest on record. This has prompted some to call this a super, mega, or even Godzilla El Nino later this year. You'd have to go back over a decade to find a very strong El Nino in modern history. In 2015, 2016, and 1997, 1998, temperatures in the El Nino region of the Pacific were 2.4 degrees above average, and that's still lower than some forecasts for this year, which are suggesting the average temperature could be between 2.5 and 3 degrees warmer than usual. The strongest ever El Nino is thought to be in 1877, when the temperature was 2.7 above average. Though this was a very different era when there were much fewer observations. So what does it mean for weather? Well, this is the key, and there's one region which can be hit most directly. No two El Niños are exactly the same, and so officials say that the particular strength of an El Niño doesn't directly correlate with the strength of the impact seen. But we do know it's likely to have more of an impact to those regions around the Pacific. So flooding in northern Peru and southern Ecuador is common, but also potentially in East Africa, Central Asia, and southern portions of North America. At the same time, other regions get the opposite effect. El Nino tends to suppress Atlantic tropical storms, which might sound like good news, but for Central America, that leads to a lot less rainfall and potentially drought conditions. There is a greater chance of drought and wildfires in parts of Australia, Indonesia, and the north of South America, which can damage agriculture and reduce global food supplies. It will depend on the eventual strength of El Nino, but scientists are already suggesting that 2027 could become the warmest year on record. So how has El Nino affected the climate in the past? Well, the last El Nino in 2023-24 helped make 2024 the warmest year on record. And during the last very strong El Nino in 2015-2016 that I mentioned earlier, there was severe drought in parts of Africa, specifically Ethiopia and the Caribbean. Increased wildfires hit Central Asia, and there was a huge impact on food. The droughts and floods caused by that El Nino a decade ago affected the food security of more than 60 million people, according to the UN. Chocolate is one example where we could be paying more later this year and into next. After the last El Nino, chocolate got 15% more expensive because dry weather in Ghana and the Ivory Coast affected the cocoa harvests. Should we be concerned then? It's not just about chocolate prices. The impact of El Nino is already being felt for some. Forest fires in Indonesia have started earlier this year, and communities there are especially worried that El Nino could intensify those wildfires, damaging homes, businesses and agriculture. And what's happening in the Middle East affects things too. It's already putting pressure on food production and agriculture. The price of fertilizer has increased, and this will impact harvests in the coming months. So we could see reduced food supplies and higher prices. Sources have told me that there have been already lots of conversations happening to prepare for El Nino between UN agencies, international NGOs and interagency committees. For the UK, any direct impacts on our weather from El Nino are less certain, but climate scientists at the Met Office say El Nino years can increase the risk of colder winters here. Overall, we could be looking at potentially big humanitarian impacts through this year.
Darkness. Yeah.
Boy, So that's what they're saying. You know, it remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, hey, it's prophecy, man. You're gonna get just mad crazy weather too. You know, that's part of famines. Droughts cause famines, floodings,
Mhm.
things of that nature. I
Yep.
got a precept. Can we get Second Esdras 15?
Mhm.
We could start from well, the point is in 11 to 12 to 13. But if you want to get more than that above, then just run with it. It don't matter.
Can't. I guess it's all good. Um, I'll speed through it. I'll speak for it. So Ezra 15 from the top says, Behold, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I'll put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they're faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. It says, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. It says, For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their
Right.
hurtful works
So
are
that
fulfilled.
makes you know that Salakia, that makes you know that famine is gonna play a part in a lot of people getting put to death, man. This is a serious thing. It's not gonna
Mhm.
be no little side note, it's gonna be at the forefront of judgment. Because you got sword, you got
Mhm.
famine and death. So you got people being, violence, and then you got the famine going up.
Mhm.
It says, Therefore, saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. But
Right,
I
that's
will
that's
bring.
spirit. That's talking about spiritual Egypt, which is America. America is Egypt all over again, and brothers has done many videos breaking that down. America is Egypt, spiritual Sodom and Egypt.
Mhm.
It's a land of bondage. Even their system of rulership is an oppressive system, just like Egypt.
Mhm.
Because when you break, you got these Egypt, what do you call these guys? These Egyptologists. Oh, the
Mhm.
Bible stole its laws from Egypt, and the 38 laws of Ma'at. No, it's not a law. It's
Mhm.
actually called a negative confession. You moron.
Mhm.
All right, that's not those weren't laws in Egypt. That's the negative
Mhm.
confessions of Ma'at, which is basically a cheat code for the afterlife. So they would the rich would buy the book, and then you would recite those confessions in the afterlife, and then you make it you make it into heaven. There was no law in Egypt saying you can't be a body man. In fact, if you actually look in the Bible, our law specifically says don't do what they do in Egypt. So
Yeah,
our law is to do the opposite of what they did in Egypt, which
bro.
is what they
Because
do
I
in
mean,
America now.
yeah, say, bro.
Nah,
Because
go
I
on,
mean,
go
if we look at some of the customs that was going on in Egypt, they definitely wasn't following no law, bro. Like, I mean, they had yearly festivals where all of the top, officers of Egypt and officials would go to the ability, the dam now and wank into the sea, bro. You know, like they had a lot of strange customs in Egypt. You know, really, really and truly, man. If we went deep into some of the rituals that was commonly practiced in Egypt, and niggas would lose their mind. You know, it's crazy. So
Yep.
I just want to say
Which
that.
which all those things are back again in America. America does all that
Hmm.
perverseness. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And even down to their laws of ownership. They don't follow the Israelite way of land ownership. They have an oppressive way wherein the Pharaoh and his priesthood owns everything. The 1% owning 99%. That's the Egyptian way. That's the way of oppression, bondage.
Mm,
The American system is a system of slavery.
mm,
These are the facts, but they call it a system of freedom. No, the true system of freedom is the Israelite system, where every
mm,
citizen is entitled to land ownership.
mm.
You see?
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, America's nothing but Egypt all over again, and they worship all the same gods of Egypt too.
That's right. Yeah, I just had that up on the screen. What that custom weird. Their creation stories that someone, as you saw there, some atom ejaculated life into existence. It's like, bro, the Bible said, the Most High said, "Let it be so," and it was so. you know.
Yeah, the Egyptians basically, which is the root of all idolatry, worship everything which is of the flesh. That's why
Yep.
they worship the animals and the rivers. They worship the
Mm,
penis and they worship the vagina, because these are seen as power symbols. That's why in
mm,
America they worship the penis and the vagina. They worship
mm,
48-inch penises. They're obsessed with over enlarged penises and over enlarged breasts and vaginas and things like that nature, because it's the same principles. When you go back to Egypt, that's what they would depict their deities with, to as a manifestation of the power of the virility. So it's the same system all over again. The worship of the carnal, and negating the heavenly Father, which is the true power over all things. They
Mhm.
got the NASA program, which they bring the Egyptian gods into that,
yep.
right?
Yep. And then even if we look at the 10 plagues of Egypt, these things attacked direct, entities in which there was worshipping in Egypt. If you look at, like information on the water turning into blood, that was attached onto a deity, even the lice, even the frogs. Even the plague of darkness, because obviously, like in Egypt, they had this sun god Ra. You know, so there was a lot of things. There's a lot of like that. Those specific plagues in Egypt had like meaning. Actual specific meaning as to why you had the lice, you had the boils and things as such. You know, So it was deep and spiritually the morale of the people was totally confounded, and destroyed. Because imagine you will worship, this deity of, or like, of the sun or of the frogs, or being fertile, and then they just all get confounded one by one, you know. So that's always interesting.
Yep.
And just a quick, brothers be getting into the occult.
Yeah.
Just want a quick one. Donald Trump, his distinctive orange hue, that's not done by accident. That's in itself
Mm,
as a representation of being the sun god.
mm,
All right, so he has himself depicted. He wears he's known for that. They call him the Orange Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ra was the Orange Man.
Mm.
mm.
So when he's depicting himself as the Orange Man, and he's got the little gold statue as well, that's a representation of him being Ra, the sun god.
Exactly.
Yeah, because these people, they're witches and they're warlocks, man. Everything they do goes back to occultism, but the average person don't know. They just think it's a joke. Oh, it's the Orange Man. No, that's an occult trope.
Mm.
That's why he kept talking about the golden age and all that. But anyway, we just keep going. We get bogged down into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
bro.
back in Second Ezra, it's 15 and 11.
Sorry, bro. I was gonna say if I sent you some information in case if you wanted to go into those plagues of Egypt and the deities it attacked, just speed through, you
Okay.
know,
Okay,
just
Khan.
Yeah, 2 Kings 15:11 it says, "But I'll bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
Mm,
Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring."
mm. Yep, and this modern day Egypt is Babylon, which is America. And I remember this a couple of months ago. I remember at the camp we went into how the modern like plagues of Egypt and how it's impacting like America. And it was going deep, man. How these things in some ways are happening. So it's deep. You know. Oh, what have you pulled up the information?
Yeah, do you
Yeah,
want
if
me
you
to go
want,
for it?
just yeah, no, just pick out a few of the plagues and a few of the gods and just read a bit on it, just for the purposes of the edification.
So this is one for Israel .org. So the meaning of the 10 plagues and the Egyptian gods they defeated. So water turned into blood. There were two revered Egyptian gods that were slammed down when Moses struck the Nile. The god Khnum, supposedly the guardian of the river's source, was clearly off duty that day, or at least no much for the God of Israel. Happy, the god of the annual flooding of the Nile, was also unable to resist the plague. Says the frogs. Says by bringing an uncontrollable plague of frogs, the god of Israel was delivering a direct strike against the Egyptian god Heket. Um, Lys Geb, also known as Sebelkeb, was considered a god of the earth, often portrayed as a goose or as a man stretched out in the dust of the earth. Um, yeah, while earth deities in other cultures are usually considered female, Geb was male and bisexual, yet able to produce eggs representing fertility. Flies, Shu, the god of air and supporter of the sky, was next up for humiliation. Shu was often depicted in human form with an ostrich feather on his head and the hieroglyphic for his name. Livestock pestilence. Hathor was the Egyptian goddess of fertility, women, love, and the sky. The deity would usually be portrayed as a cow, a very important animal in the ancient Egyptian world that could only be found in fertile areas where water was plentiful. Other gods
Mm.
were also made in the
But
image of life.
what I find that spiritual tells you that your Lord's power, man. The Lord does have to hit people and nations according to where it hurts. And and it makes me think about how in Isaiah 47 when it speaks about them being worried in their councils because they're seeing signs and mysterious things happen, and they know it's a direct attack and sign from the Lord, man. You know, you know,
Can Yeah, continuing
yeah,
on. So it
yeah.
says other gods were also made in the image of livestock, such as Ammon, who was portrayed as a ram, and Nevis as a black bull. Boils. So it says next, Mosai proved his authority to affect not just the natural world around them, but their very lives. With the plague of boils, Mosai showed his power to wound and to heal in a direct affront to the Egyptian gods of healing, such as Sekhmet and Isis. Hell. So it says, as this plague beat down on the land, the Egyptian sky god Nut and storm god Seth, supposedly associated with strange and frightening events, such as eclipses, thunderstorms, and earthquakes, along with Shu, god of the air, couldn't lift a finger to prevent the disaster, right? Which even precept that just come um,
Psalms 96.
into mind is Isaiah, well, I'll get this. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of you, of Yahweh of hosts, with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. Right, so it's the Most High that brings, different weather. Ultimately, brings different weather patterns, not these heathens. So these
Mhm.
these gods of idols, right?
Yeah.
Locusts, says the seventh plague of locusts showed up the Egyptian god Bastet, a deity in the form of a cat who was supposed to be the protector of crops from rodents like and vermin like locusts. Neither was Osiris, god of agriculture, much help. Darkness says by bringing the plague of darkness, the Most High demonstrated his sovereignty over Egypt's most powerful gods, the sun god Ra, at the head of a falcon and the body of a human. Um, yeah, this is death of the
Yeah,
firstborn children. And then do they mention any gods here? Yeah, I think maybe Geb. It's on Geb, this one. But yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
And then so America's no different, because if you go to the apotheosis of George Washington, they
Mm,
have all these different idols. Now I think a lot of the idols there might be Roman, because America's
mm,
spiritually Rome as well. But remember, the Roman gods were just as a flip on the Egyptian
yeah,
gods,
yeah.
right?
It's a flip.
So if you pull up the apotheosis of George Washington on the Wikipedia page, the same way that all these all had all these different idols for different areas or protection over different parts of Egypt, they had the same thing in the Capitol building with the apotheosis of George Washington, and they got all the idols in the picture. And if you go down into the breakdown, it tells you all the different areas of American life that they have an idol over, and then they're gonna
Hmm.
call it a Christian country. And that's the building that where that uh is. That's in the rotunda where some of the um presidents are inaugurated. Namely,
Mm,
Trump was just inaugurated under this image in the rotunda,
mm.
right? And you see there, you got agriculture, the Roman goddess of agriculture, Ceres.
See, it's the same thing. I have a precept quickly.
Yeah,
This is Psalms 96 and 4. You know, I'm gonna start from 3. It says, "Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people. For the Lord is great and is greatly to be praised. He is feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens."
Hmm.
So all the
A
gods of these
precept.
nations, man, is idols, man. And it's like, so that's why when the Lord comes back, establishes his kingdom, and brings his judgment, it's just gonna be the ultimate confounding of all these other nations and their gods and belief systems. You know what I mean? Like everything is just gonna be just known that every knee shall bow, tongue confess that the Lord is Lord, man. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's really gonna be like that.
Yeah. It
And it
tells you
makes me
that
think
in
about
I in also in was it Jeremiah 50 and 2 about all the idols of Babylon being dismayed and
Mhm.
destroyed.
Hmm.
That's it.
Same
That's
So
thing.
it.
I've got one as well.
Mhm.
I'll speed through it as well. As we're reading that other article, where it's basically the Most High effectively mocking all of these different heathen gods, made me think of this a precept here, right? This is God or Baal on Mount Carmel, right? And so it says from First Kings 18 and 20. So Ahab sent to the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel, and Elijah came unto all the people and said, "How long?" Halt ye between two opinions. If Yahweh be the most, I follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. The people answered him not a word. Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I, only remain a prophet of Yahweh, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your God, and I'll call on the name of Yahweh. And the God that answered by fire, let him be the Most High. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose ye 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many. And call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, Cry loud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a
Yeah.
journey, or peradventure
And
he sleepeth and must be awaked.
and and just a quick one. What comes to mind when I think of the scripture is the deceived and the this deceiver are his, because the fact that they was even prepared to do any or call them Baal for riches makes you know that obviously the Lord through Satan and left hand side can obviously have certain things actually happen where people will think, okay, well, the power I serve or whatever ritual you're doing is really the truth. But then, I, when the Lord equally finds time to, or as in when he wants to, he will just show you that's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Like that Satan was just lying to you, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, and I always say it works till it don't work, innit?
Mm.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
man's know the judge. Hey, it works until it don't work.
Yeah,
Until
yeah.
when you need it the most. When you need it the most, bro.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it shows you that with the plagues of Egypt, that the Egyptian magi's that they was able to do certain plagues until they came to a point where they couldn't. Like, you remember when there was going plague for plague, like Moses would do stuff, and then the Pharaoh would say, okay, let my guys do the same thing, and it got to a certain plague where they said it is the power of the Lord, man. Like, yo, but we can't stop this. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows you, man.
Yeah, like when Esau worships all these different idols and he's making all these sacrifices to establish his new world order. But guess what? There ain't enough sacrifices for that. The word of the Lord is what's going to stand. There's no way to overturn the word of the Lord. There's no witchcraft. There's no sacrifice you can make. You can sacrifice everybody on the planet and it still ain't gonna work.
Mm.
The word of the Lord is what it is. It's strong. Witchcraft is a deception. All right, it can only go so far. you know,
That's it.
but your man will always bottle it at the end. You know what I mean? But yeah,
God. Let me continue on. It says First Kings 18 and 28 now. So it says, and they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lances, till the blood gushed out upon them. And it came to pass when midday was when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of Yahweh that was broken down.
so
Elijah,
they were trying to do all kind of stuff. They were trying to even give up their own blood, cutting themselves, bro. It ain't gonna work. They could have give up everything. It wasn't gonna work because the Lord had determined to put them to shame that day.
I
They
have a
could have
quick,
sacrificed 1,000 virgins, but it wasn't gonna work.
yeah. I have a quick precept just on that point directly. This is Exodus 8 and 17, and they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there was lice upon man and upon beasts. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of the Most High. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord said. So the point is, there was, trying their thing. They thought it was a two-horse race, and then basically the other team realized, no, man, we can't catch them up. It's done. You know, and it's the same thing here. Like they might, do the first plague, the second plague, but when it came to the third plague, they're like, look, man, there's only so much that we can compete. You know, and just had to confess, like, look, man, this is the power of the Most High, and we can't do anything against it.
mm,
That's how it's gonna be. So even this is like when they start their project, Blue Beam and trying to fake UFO invasions. Oh wow, the real father ships that turn up. and everyone's gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, man, this is just something else. You know,
Mm,
that's an enchantment, man.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, so just finalize this one. First Kings 18:31 now. It says, and Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob. It says, unto whom the word of Yahweh came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. It says, and with the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahweh, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he
Again,
put,
and that again, that's showing you the vibration of the 12 tribes, man,
Mhm.
with the
Mhm,
Most High. Why didn't he take a stone for each nation on the earth for humanity? No,
mhm.
the vibration of the 12.
That's it. So it says, and he put the wood in order and cut the bullocks in pieces and laid them on the wood, and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and the wood. And he said, do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it the third time. And they did it the third time. The water ran about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. Says, and it came to pass at that time of the offerings of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord Yahweh, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that thou art the power in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that thou art Yahweh power, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. So
Mhm.
then when the people all saw it, they fell on their face and they said, Yahweh, he is the Most High. Yahweh, he is the Most High. And Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let none of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them to the brook Kishon and slew them there.
Righteousness. And that's gonna happen again, in a grand fashion with the chariots. You know?
Mhm, 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 mhm. That's it. You know what? Babu Shah, can we pivot ever so slightly, Babu Shah, quickly to the information I sent you on the plagues in Egypt because we was reading Second Ezra's plague Egypt as before, and just read not all of it, just read like scroll through points of like this the social economic impact of the plagues in Egypt, and we can parallel that with Babylon today. To just skip
Yep.
through
So,
some points. Yeah.
so the question was socioeconomically, how did the plagues of Egypt affect it, and what was the time span of the plagues? Here's a clear structured explanation. It says in likely time span. It says even if we treat the story as presented in Exodus, the plagues describe the systematic collapse of the Egyptian economy, hitting every major sector. Right, so water and agriculture collapse, plagues 1 to 3. It says now turn to blood. Egypt's economy dependent entirely on the Nile. When the water became undrinkable and fish died, it triggered loss of water supply, collapse of the fishing industry, contaminated irrigation, and increase in food scarcity. Um, it says 2 and 3. It says the frog die-off created mass sanitation issues, encouraging disease. Lice snats affected livestock health, agricultural laborers, itching contamination, and priests who needed ritual purity. Right? Environmental and livestock disaster. It says plagues 4 to 6. It says flies, large swarms disrupt trade routes, work in cities, food prep, animal health, livestock disease. This directly strikes the backbone of Egypt. It says agriculture, oxen for plowing, transportation, military horses, wealth storage, herds or money, right? Which makes me think of the priest of Abraham was rich, right, in gold, silver, and cattle, right? So it says livestock death is a massive socio-economic blow. Plague 6 says boils, widespread boils hitting people and animals, reduce labor force productivity, stops craftsmen, farmers, soldiers, disrupts religious functions, spreads healthcare crisis.
Yeah.
Uh,
And going to this type of information is important because people might just figure about the place in Egypt, Monday, Tuesday, when
mhm.
no, the plagues didn't happen like a 10-day period. No, every people was feeling the burn, bro. People was feeling the burn, like people was bugging out. And it's like, even just see how the different aspects of daily life was just made much harder, man. which affected the average everyday man in Egypt, from the Pharaoh to the least of Egypt. And it, and Babylon has been dealing with, with a lot of plagues, man. Even just the mindset of the people, just the whole concept. I mean, even if we look at this, uh, the amount of people like in America that have died of just drugs alone,
Mm.
opioids. That's the plague, man. You know what I mean? America, the land of the free, the home, the brain. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But then you got people on Skid Row and all throughout, like America, that's hooked on drugs. That's the plague,
The
you know?
the ticks is a plague, right? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
you got ticks.
yeah, yeah. Go on up.
Yep. So it says, goes on to say, what was it? Yeah, it's about three. Destruction of food supply and trade, plague 7 to 9. It says crops, flax and barley ruined. This is the hell. Crops, trees, infrastructure, livestock left outdoors. Um, this is the partial destruction of Egypt's annual harvest. 8, locusts, as the text says, they ate everything left after the hail. This is total agricultural collapse. No grain, no veg, no fodder for animals, no exports. Egypt was a grain exporter of the ancient world. This will devastate international trade. Um, it says, what am I? Darkness. It says 3 days of darkness stops all labor, stops shipping, stops economic activity completely, causes psychological panic. All right, religious breakdown as the sun god Ra was central to Egyptian theology. This is almost like a nationwide shutdown. Social collapse and death, plague 10 says death of the firstborn. This is a massive socio-political blow. Loss of heirs cripples family lines. Loss of future labor force, death in royal household, political instability, trauma and panic among the population, collapsing authority of Pharaoh. Right, it says combined effect. It says Egypt faced famine, water crisis, labor shortage, loss of military capacity, collapse of religious authority, loss of export economy, disease, sanitation problems, social unrest, and trauma. Economically, um, agriculture destroyed, livestock wiped out, trade interrupted, infrastructure damaged, wealth depleted. So just back on this trauma thing that comes to mind, right? It's you think of a Rahab the harlot, right? Where she said she was like, "Yo, man, yo, we heard what the Lord did for you," right? And then that basically sent shivers down all of the heathens round about. So imagine being a natural Egyptian where you didn't hear about it, you experienced it, right? You
Mm,
went through that pain of like losing your firstborn, then all of you went through, because if it's saying that basically the what did it say here, that the what was it, the locusts like ate everything left after the hail. There was no food. So not only did you
yeah,
lose your son, but then you can't eat.
yeah. Dark.
Yeah, and the darkness was actually spooky because there was apparitions and all that.
Apparitions. Yep, yep. But then as well, it makes me think, which I'm gonna get. Obviously, we know it applies to modern day Egypt. But these things would have caused Egyptian against Egyptian, because it's like, here it is, like they would have heard that through word of mouth. There's this guy, Moses. He used to be seen as the you know the grandson of the previous pharaoh, or whatever. And it's like, hold on, like he's trying to get his people out of this land, but Pharaoh ain't listening, and we're paying for all the consequences. Like, fuck this, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have really
Mhm.
caused a social split
Well, you're
against
seeing that now.
the Egyptian rulership.
Yeah, you're seeing that now. When you get certain men that are going to fill up their tank, and they're seeing what the costs are, and they're just thinking, "Yo, you didn't need to go start this war with Iran. Now
Yeah,
I'm paying $4 or $5 for gas."
yeah, yeah. And back then it's like, hey, why are you fighting against the power like of the Israelites, man? So that's why by the end of it all, remember, like, the Egyptians and even Pharaoh, they rushed them out of Egypt, and then Jake went and borrowed things, spoiled them, and dipped. And then Pharaoh tried a last minute hoorah, you know what I mean, and his ass died. So it just shows you.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, bro, that was what it was. If you see anything there you wanted else to mention, but I kind of wanted
I
to
was
just.
I was gonna say, like, a lot of these things, surrounding it, if you go up to where it says um the what they faced, so we know there's famine, water crisis. America actually is got a water crisis, and that's why the whole data center thing
Yeah, yeah.
is going to cause a massive stir as well, because a lot of water is being shifted towards that. But you got I got it right here, like Lake Mead,
Mm,
which is in Nevada and Arizona. It says here, as the largest reservoir in the United States, Mead provides water to millions across the Southwest. What's wrong with me? Decades of arid conditions and heavy water allocation from the Colorado River have dropped it to critical low levels, frequently hovering at less than 30% of its total capacity. Right. So then, if you have another drought on top of that,
uh,
this year is peak.
mm,
Lake Powell in Utah and Arizona, sitting just upstream from Mead on the Colorado River. Powell is the nation's second largest reservoir. It has suffered similar drastic declines. Then you got the Great Salt Lake in Utah, right? The Elephant Butte Reservoir in New Mexico. So America is experiencing water crises already, and it's gonna get worse, because it's gonna be just like Egypt all over again. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to to bring that out.
mm,
And in terms of the production of food, obviously we're gonna go back to Ezekiel 15, but people got to realize America is one of the top producers of food, even though it's a net importer of food.
mm,
It's like top 3 producers of food in the world.
yep.
America is a breadbasket. In fact, if you look at for grain, America is the second largest producer of grain, primary grains in the world, only after China.
Mm,
You're right, and the law's gonna break that.
mm.
That's it.
He's gonna break that. That's it. I will break thy staff of bread. That's the scripture too. I believe we read it in the last um lesson in Ezekiel.
So I have a quick,
But yeah, go on now.
I have a quick one. This is
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the window be darkened. So that's these, economic forecasters forecasting, the dark future ahead that lies for the global, economy, especially Babylon the Great. And you could liken these uh, impending future kind of impacts to plagues. I mean, if you're telling somebody like, "Yo, you're gonna have food shortages," well, that's a plague. If you're gonna tell people you're gonna this like AI data centers are causing water shortages, that's a plague. Like if you're talking about people losing all their jobs and the gas prices exploding, well, those are all plagues. It's just plagues by another name, man. You know?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and it says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. Yeah, man, these mass job losses that have been happening because a lot of people's jobs are being replaced by AI.
And grinding can also go into meal
Meal,
food.
food, yep,
Yeah.
yep, that's it. And it says, and the grinding cease because they are few, and sorry, and it says, and he shall rise up the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of the music shall be brought low. And it's like music, music a lot of the time is a social commentary of the current state of affairs of of the people essentially. So
Well,
yeah,
put it this way.
hmm
That's how you knew C19 wasn't really the end, because them man was still doing
Yeah,
concerts. And
exactly.
when all hell breaks loose, the first thing to go is
Mirth.
Murph.
Yeah.
Like, no one ain't, oh, the new Drake album. No one don't care about Drake's
Versus.
album. You ain't
Versus,
trying
yeah.
to. When they were in Egypt and all them plagues were coming down, I can guarantee you that the man weren't worried about no musician and no music.
Mhm.
Like, them man, when you're starving, you're not worrying about the bars.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the in a society, when you got loads of abundance, you got time to think about mirth.
Mhm.
So the singer becomes yeah, come through, sing at my party, sing here, sing.
Mhm.
Bro, ain't nobody got no time for no singing when all hell's breaking loose.
Yeah.
When the man are in Iran and bombs are dropping, the singers, no one ain't caring about no singers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gaza,
Yeah.
like when there's real terrible things going down, like when people have got serious shit to deal with, the whole system of entertainment has to stop, because now ain't the time for entertainment.
I got something real quick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is reminding me of what was it? There's a YouTube documentary. I don't know if it's still up, called The Four Horsemen, and it basically speaks about the different stages of empire, with the last stage being at the age of decadence. Now, decadence is
Mhm.
one of those words that's commonly misused. It actually means decay, but one of the things that you see here is empire decadence represents the final unsustainable phase in a civilization's life cycle, typically characterized by extreme wealth inequality, political apathy, materialism, and a loss of civic duty. As described by historians like Sir John Glubb, this stage follows a golden age of intellect and affluence, marking a transition from active expansion, stagnation, corruption, and eventual collapse. Right, it's the age of decadence. It says the shift from public duty to private selfishness, which once again something that we speak about a lot. Right, it is marked by a fixation on pleasure, intellectual frivolity, and a breakdown of the social virtues that built the empire. Right, and so I was just thinking about of that in this context, because we're basically here, but what follows is the end of the empire. And
Mhm.
this is the 250th year of of America, and which called civilizations. Well, in the modern world, you usually last around empires usually last around 250 years. So we're basically seeing the end play out right before our eyes.
Mhm.
This place is so wicked, right? It's funny you mentioned the civic duty. A lot of people now, their best bet to get any type of money is to grift.
Mhm.
They're all grifters. Oh, buy my course. I'm gonna show you how to get women. Dude's gay. Oh, buy my course. Like, I'm gonna show you how to start a business. Man's only business is telling you how to start a
Mhm.
business, and they got no experience. Man's just chatting breeze and living in Bali, selling courses, just scamming people. That's the grift now. That and so many people, that's their thing.
Yep.
Tell you that's their only way, because that's the society we in now. Scamming. That's how you go.
Mhm.
Fake it till you make it. Grifting. Everyone's trying to grift now. All up on the internet. Influencers, grifters,
Mm.
liars.
Yep.
Can
And they know they're lying, but they don't care as long as they get the
That's it.
subscriptions so that they can live a particular lifestyle. They're over there in Bali or in Dubai. Just lie.
Yep.
Scamming people for books and courses. Oh, buy my book and you become a millionaire. No, you won't.
That's it.
No, I'll show you how to set up an Amazon shop. It ain't gonna work. That's why they're not doing it. They're selling you a course.
Yep.
That's right.
They're grifting, and
Yep.
that goes into it, because you, someone that has a civic duty, you wouldn't be grifting. You wouldn't be just trying to scam people, man. But that's how you know we're at the end of this society. Everyone's just out for themselves, and at the end of the day, they say get to the bag. They don't care what they're doing as long as they get to the bag. No civic duty,
Yeah.
Mhm.
no integrity, just foolishness. Jews
Mhm.
is on
That's
bare
it.
steroids. Oh, I'm gonna show you how to get. I'm a natty. I'm gonna show you how to look like me. Man's on 50 different steroids. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, remember when that came out with Liver King? Remember that dude that used to eat liver, and then and then they found some insane amounts of like steroids and shit in the blood.
Bro,
Like,
man had an old school ancient scroll list of chemicals he was putting in his body. He's selling you a whole diet and vitamins and all this stuff, and the whole time he's just on them petrochemicals, man.
bro, this geezer had people eating raw liver and shit, and these times he's on like 5 kgs worth of steroids a day, like
Damn, dude.
crazy, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Th- th-
it's all grifting, man. You know what I mean? Buy my course. All right, bro.
mhm. I was going to say there's actually some decent stuff in the rest of this if I can just speed through it. It says economic inequality and corruption, wealth concentrates at the top while the general population deals with the devaluation of currency and rising debts. We're witnessing that. Materialism and political apathy, citizens lose interest in civic participation, focusing on luxury, bread and circuses, i.e., entertainment, and personal amusement rather than the health of the state.
Yeah,
Military.
the Swatch thing. You had all them brokies running out to buy a Swatch
Oh, yeah.
because it's some plastic watch because it's got AP on it. Embarrassing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's happening.
Military overextension, the empire attempts to maintain vast global commitments, causing economic strain and leading to reliance on mercenaries or foreign troops. Influx of foreigners and cultural shift. It says, as the original pioneering spirit dies, foreign populations often increase within the core, sometimes leading to a loss of cultural cohesion. So the
Oi,
final phase.
oi.
God.
The bacon ass.
The final phase, decline and collapse, is what I found really interesting, right? It says the final stage is a swift, often unexpected implosion triggered by financial ruin, civil unrest, or external pressure. Right? Precept that comes to mind, right, is the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. But then also as a part of that was at First Thessalonians 5, where it says that, but this day shall not overtake you as a thief, right? Because we're watching, we're praying, and we're seeing all of these things coming together. We're like, yeah, this system
This is cool.
is cooked. Like
Yep.
we're at the end, right?
It
So
tells you that in Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 47. No, sorry, Isaiah 47, where he speaks about they shall not know from whence it came. But when America goes down, these men, it's gonna go down so bad. These men are gonna be like, how did this happen? I thought I knew things were bad, but it weren't this bad. Yeah, it is that bad. It's going because it's gonna go out people lying in the streets dead bad, and people underestimate how bad that is.
Yeah.
In the West, right? For there to be when these men get shanked up, their bodies are not on the street, bro.
Yeah, there's like 10 ambulances, fire trucks, police.
Street closed
Run a
down.
cordon
walking
off.
around in the West, right, and just come across a dead body lying in the street.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible for that to happen, because you got emergency services. As soon as someone sees someone on the dead, they're gonna call the emergency 999. What's your emergency? Oh, my man ain't breathing, and they're gonna just they're gonna send an ambulance to pick that cadaver up, take it to the hospital, and pronounce it dead. The scripture tells you. Say it. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, well, that's why when Anthony Joshua got into the accident, people found it so traumatizing.
Yeah.
It's like, because over there, people were just videoing it, taking half an hour for the ambulance to come.
Yeah. So you're talking about when the scripture says dead bodies are gonna be in the street like dung. So like when you walk around and you see dog poo on the floor, that will be there. People, these people flipping let the dogs poo on the damn sidewalk and they don't pick it up. Especially in the ghetto. Right? Yeah, there ain't nobody that's gonna stay there till the rain washes that away. Or it breaks down, you see it start turning white.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so unexpected for that to happen that in the West that you actually have laws. I think it's called tampering with the dead body. It's just like you've had like major things where you've had funeral homes and they've not properly buried people and stuff like that. Because in the West, it's sort of like, well, someone died, you've got to bury them, you've got to, checks and balances, as they like to say. But in that day,
even the smell of death. I would assume that 99.9% of the UK have never smelt a dead body.
Yeah. Shit,
Ever.
man. Have you shit, man? Have you smelled a fox in the hood? You know, a dead fox roadkill. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that shit smells horrible. How much more a fucking a bloated baconite?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
know what
on
I
the
mean?
side of the street. So the
Yeah.
scripture tells you
BBL
that
baddie.
one of the things that's going to happen is like people are going to be left in the street as dung, and it ain't going to be no funeral. No one ain't going to come to pick up the body and dress it and take care of it. That's how you know, yo, it's serious.
Uh,
Like granny's just there, bro. Your uncle's there, and no one ain't no one ain't picking him up. Is it where he drops,
yeah,
he stops.
yeah.
That's it. That's how you know it's on top,
Mm-hmm.
unprecedented, and that's gonna happen in the West. And
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like, what? That how could that the average person wouldn't be able to put them to wrap their mind around that's an eventual thing that could happen in the next few months.
Mm.
I have a preset, quick one.
Yeah.
This is
I'm not saying it's gonna
Ecclesiastes.
happen in the next few months before man come clip me and say, "Oh, you said no." I'm just saying, like in a short period of
Yeah.
time, that could
It's
happen.
June.
Hmm. Well, so before you get your preset, I just wanted
Yeah.
to reiterate on this. It's the final
Mm,
phase, decline and collapse. The final stage is swift,
mm,
often unexpected implosion, which was as
mm,
Zaquan, you've been saying this a lot, where it's like people aren't worried about what's happening right now with the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone's like,
mm.
it's like, oh, this is fine, this is normal. It's like, yo, this is bad. This is
Yep,
bad. You know?
that's
Sorry,
it.
bro.
No, I got a preset. This is Ecclesiasticus 11:25. It says on down in in the day of prosperity there is a
Mm,
forgetfulness of affliction, and in the day of affliction there is no remembrance of prosperity. For it is an easy thing unto the Lord in the day of death to reward a man according to his ways. The affliction of an hour maketh a man forget pleasure, and in his deeds shall and in his end his deeds shall be discovered. It's like it's true. Like going through affliction, like like do you remember that Jake in it that got caught up in a Tesla?
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah.
Like he wanted to be he would be anywhere else on the planet than in that Tesla, like in that moment. He would do anything, you know. Like dude, people that got caught up in 9/11 that
Mm.
had to make the choice between jumping out or getting burnt. Like they might have had the best life. They might have had the Bentleys. They must have enjoyed themselves. But when that moment happened, they would give anything to be anywhere else.
Oh, yeah, and then
You
you
know,
know they
you
would
know
have been
why?
proud.
You know why? Because we're carnally built, so we're slaves to the temporal, man.
Yep,
What you feel is what you feel.
yep,
Yesterday's feelings were yesterday's feelings. Nothing ain't ever the same in memory.
yep. It's
You
true.
know, you can feel good. Oh, the memory makes you feel good, but it's never the same as at that moment. You know,
Hmm.
like when man's lifting up the trophy,
Yeah,
you'll never feel that feeling as it was in the moment, even if you're remembering it.
it's
So
true.
that's how the Most High set it up, that we feel what we feel in the moment. So so like you
Yep,
said, when man's getting burnt, he ain't thinking back to that sweet panani he had when that had him on
yeah,
cloud nine. That don't
yeah,
make you feel no better,
yep.
you know. It's big.
True. Absolute true. Absolutely true, man. That's exactly what's coming. Um, yeah, bro. Have you got more of that information that you was going into?
Yeah, I'll just wrap it up. So
Yeah.
it says the final phase, decline and collapse. Just remember, this is the stage of empire, stages of empire, and then this decadent stage. So it says the final stage is a swift, often unexpected implosion triggered by financial ruin, civil unrest, or external pressures. Which really, in America's case, it's and external pressures. This is all happening, all going to happen, right? So loss of credibility. The ruling class lose legitimacy as the grand narratives that justify their power are exposed as deceptions.
And that's exactly what's about to happen.
Yeah, and you know what? It even makes me think of this precept if I can get it real quick. This is Habakkuk 2:16, right? It says, "Thou art filled with shameful glory, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered." So everything Esau's
Mm,
doing is being uncovered, is being brought to the forefront. It says, "The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory." Everyone nowadays is just like looking at Esau, like, look, like, but how did you get that though? How did you get those
mm,
riches? You're okay.
mm.
You're going like, oh, what was it? Uganda or one of them countries? They found a massive
Man of God.
amount of gold, and everyone immediately was like, "Oh, don't expect a war in Uganda or something to that effect,"
Yeah.
right? Which we never heard anything from that.
Yeah.
So he and his multinational corporations are probably in there, right?
Yep.
Uganda never got richer.
Then you
Mm,
got this
yep.
situation with this Chud the Builder, right? And
Yeah. That.
Esau, he made it look like Jake is this crazed individuals that are just gonna kill you, which don't make no sense. If you believe that Jake is so animalistic and crazy, that's like saying, "Oh, this lion's animalistic and crazy, so I'm gonna go in the cage with the lion to prove it." Then you're an idiot. Then you're the low
Mm,
IQ individual. So he was going around America. He's an agent anyway, calling man
Mm,
NIs, N words, and he was saying, oh, he would antagonize Jake, and then when Jake would say something back, he'd be like, they're chimping out, they're chimping out,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as if you could go to any group of people on the earth and disrespect them, and man ain't gonna try to put hands on you. This
Mm,
is as if Edomites. I looked it up. Jake were getting lynched for looking at Edomites the wrong way.
mm-hmm.
What could Jake insult a Edomite in any way, shape, or form? No, he
Mm,
would get lynched. So what is that chimping out?
mm,
Oh yeah, y'all got freedom of speech, so I could insult you and okay, but bro, like, so I could go into some biker club and disrespect them, and I ain't gonna get my ass beat.
mm,
Oh, they're chimping out. Esau is a fool, and that's why the whole world's seeing that you're just a fool, man. You're not who you say you are. You said that
mm-hmm.
you brought in a rules-based world, a civilized world. It's a rules-based order. We're gonna have this UN, and no one's gonna invade no one. And you just been doing nothing but madness in the earth ever since, even to this very day. And they're like, hold on, I thought there was a rule-based order. I thought you were different. No, you still just do what you want to do, kill who you want to kill, blow up who you want to blow up. You're a thug. You're a thug with a suit on, acting like you're James Bond, but you're really just a thug. And the world is waking up to that fact. That this man isn't who he says he is. He's not civilized in any way. It's all a facade. He's a fake. He's a phony. He's not a
Mm,
man of the people. He doesn't believe in the poor. Trump said it himself. I don't care about
hmm
these people and their petrol prices. I don't even think about them when I make my decisions.
mm,
And he was meant to be the man of the people. When he was running for power, he was going to all the Bible Belt guys who lost their jobs in the factories. Oh, we're gonna bring back the factories. You know, now he said he don't even care about them. Like, he don't even think about them.
mm.
mm.
This is a liar, man.
Yep.
This is ridiculous, man. That's why this man got to get the hell out of here, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're the
Mm-hmm.
civilizers. We, the beginning with the elect, are the ones who are going to be truly civilized, who are going to civilize the world and have a rules-based order, an order actually based upon rules that we set and follow. Because we're not the type of people to set a law that we don't follow ourselves.
hmm
Mm.
That's Esau.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
it.
Because even the scripture says, if you tell a man that thou should not murder, do you murder yourself?
Mm,
So we're gonna set an example. We actually gonna live what's known as practice what you preach. We're gonna live by the same standard that we're gonna impose on the world. Esau
mm-hmm.
don't live by the standard he tries to impose on everyone. Jake is
Yep.
chimping out, but Iran said death to America and you bombed them. Well, I thought you believed in freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if an Edomite called me a N-word and I beat him up, I'm crazy. But you could blow them up though with bombs because they said death to America. I thought they had free
Yep.
speech.
Yep.
Esau he's a demon, man.
That's
He's a
right.
hypocrite.
He's a hypocrite, man. Forget this guy.
Mhm.
Anyway, rant over.
Yes, sir.
That's the
I was-
customary rant against Esau. How you demon?
Okay, that's it. I was finished these three. So currency collapse, the monetary system collapses due to debt spirals and overexpansion and disintegration. The empire breaks apart and becomes a second-tier power, often replaced by a new emerging power.
Which is what they're trying to do. So you see, what they're really trying to do is downgrade America and replace America with a new world order. But it ain't gonna work. America's gonna be completely destroyed. It's not gonna be downgraded. It's gonna be completely destroyed. And the nation of Israel, Holy Jerusalem, is gonna be the new power in the earth. Not a power of the making of Esau.
That's it.
Damn devils, who do you think you are? Your time is up, man.
Mhm.
That's it.
Go on now.
Yep. I was gonna say, if we can, like I don't know if any brother has any more other article points we want to get into, but I'm gonna say let's go through the chat GPT on
Yeah,
Genesis.
can we quickly finish off 15 first? Real
Yeah,
quick.
let's do it, brother. Sure.
Okay. So it says 2 Moses 15 and 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fell through the blasting and hail with a fearful consolation.
Right, the fearful consolation. That's the El Nino.
Mm.
You understand? That's the El Nino. That's the weather destroying them too. So it's really prophecy that they're gonna get cooked. And like I said, America is a net import. Even though they export a lot of food, they're a massive food producer. Overall, they're a food importer. So you're gonna start. You got Brazil, which they say Brazil is one of the places that's gonna get hit by the El Nino as well. So you got Brazil. India is one of the places that they say will be affected by drought, right? So Brazil, India, China, and America are the top 4 producers of food in the world.
Mm.
So it's gonna get spooky. Like, that's what I'm saying. All right, go on up, finish it off, and then we'll jump.
Yep, it says, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power.
That's it. That's what's coming down. Did we already read 19?
No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go on. Carry on down to 19, Baba Kachar.
It says, A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Right, so that proves that it ain't just going to be as simple as, the government's going to hand out food to everyone. There's going to be people that ain't going to have no access to food, period, and they're going to fight for it. They're going to go looking for it. Now, real quick, I know you want to do that chat GPT, but I just wanted to share this real quick since we're here in the UK, right? I didn't know this. So it says the UK currently has no mandatory government food or fuel rationing. However, government departments have drafted reasonable worst-case contingency plans in response to the global supply chain disruptions, particularly those stemming from the Middle Eastern conflicts. Ministers and major supermarkets may temporarily implement product purchase limits temporarily to prevent panic buying, right? Now, one of the things it says here is there's a contingency plan. The UK government has rehearsed emergency responses, codename Exercise Turnstone, to manage potential shortages in chicken, pork.
Bacon, boy. As soon as bacon's done, boy, they'll start processing.
So like, chicken, pork, bacon, and the carbon dioxide supplies required for food processing. And that's an actual thing. You can look it up. It's called Exercise Turnstone, which they leaked up allegedly. Which they set up. So they've already got certain in the Civil Contingencies Act. They've already got things lined up that they're gonna do, which is gonna lead to the the MOTB. All right. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. That I think that's something that come out this year. The the that exercise turnstone. We might have to go deeper into that at another time, see if there's anything more there. But yeah, go on.
Yep. Well, that's powerful, man.
Okay.
Exercise turns. So.
Start.
Yep. So back in the chat GPT from
No, I was gonna say we can just move to the Genesis one. I think we already hit the point in the place, but like unless you wanted to.
That is the Genesis one, isn't it?
Genesis one, yeah.
Oh shit, my bad, my bad.
From so Genesis one from
Oh
episode
yeah.
one.
Yeah, my bad.
So just to reiterate the question, it says create a real life scenario on how Genesis 47:13 and the loss of personal control could happen. So I'll just read the headlines of the previous one. So it's possible modern scenario, phase one, economic shock, phase two, dependency, and then I think we were on phase three now,
Yeah.
which looks like debt transfer. It says as the crisis deepens, people lose savings, businesses collapse, farms fail, homeowners default. Large institutions, banks, governments, megacorps, investment groups buy up farmland, housing, infrastructure, water rights, energy grids. It says ordinary people own less and rent more. This mirrors Genesis 47. First the money, then the livestock, then the land.
Mhm.
And this is exactly what we're seeing. Once again, you have a lot of people that were close to the edge in in 20 around the CV and everything like that. Then the interest rates went up. What was it, 23 or 24? And I
Yeah.
always remember speaking to someone who he was good. He had money to just write it off. But like he said, his mortgage went up from like let's say 1,100 to 2,000 something, right?
Mhm.
So, and this is one thing I always say: if you could afford the yard at 2 grand, you would have bought a yard at nearer that limit, maybe at 118. But if you bought at 1,100 a month, you're kind of like, yeah, no, this is nearer my limit. Okay, and I remember some other bit of information which was saying most Brits basically buy, and most Londoners, sorry, basically buy nearer the top end of their budget. So when your mortgage rates are effectively doubling, guess what? You're going to be missing payments, right? And that's
Yep.
only going to increase as we start really, because right now we've not really felt the impacts of this war, right? But when we start fully feeling the impacts of this war, people are going to start losing their houses, right? And
Yeah.
BlackRock, not Blackstone, because there's BlackRock and Blackstone. Blackstone, if I remember correctly, that's the property buying company. But Blackstone are just going to be there, like, hey, thank you very much, we'll take your house, which is what they're already doing, right? In a lot of places. So it says phase four, conditional access. The next shift is psychological and social. To receive food support, travel access, employment eligibility, healthcare, housing assistance, people must maintain compliance scores, updated IDs, approved digital accounts, behavioral standards. Most restrictions are justified as safety, right? It says anti-fraud, anti-terror, climate goals, public health, economic stability. People technically remain in quotes
Yeah.
free, but
And you know what I find interesting as well, just as we were touching in on the rationing situation in Egypt with Joseph, even if you paint it into a real life situation, you best believe all the people that came to get food from Egypt, they had to comply with whatever Egypt was saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think people can go and uprise and go against the policies that was brought down by Pharaoh or Joseph? It's like, nah. Like, if you want to eat, you better come right. Otherwise, you ain't getting nothing. You know? I just wanted to make that point. I find that very interesting.
that's it. So I was just getting just a little bit of information. It says Blackstone is aggressively expanding its residential property portfolio by acquiring thousands of single-family rental homes and new build housing developments, primarily in the UK and US, to meet high rental demand. Right?
Mm.
And you can read more into that. But as we see in this chat, in what you call it, in debt transfer, large institutions buy up farmland and housing. That's what you're saying, right? So we read conditional access. Phase 5 says loss of personal control. Eventually, many people own little,
Yeah.
which sounds like a little phase, a phrase that is said amongst the elites. You own nothing, be happy. Control little, depend on centralized systems for necessities. A person may not be physically enslaved, but their work, movement, purchases, speech, economic survival can all become influenced by systems they do not control. This is how personal control can slowly disappear, not usually through sudden tyranny, but through crises, right? Polycrises, dependency, convenience, fear, debt, gradual normalization.
Hmm.
This is the key insight of Genesis 47. The passage is powerful because the surrender happens progressively. The people themselves say, buy us and our land for food, meaning survival pressures can make populations willingly exchange freedom for stability.
Where's that chip? Where's that chip? Yo, like what? Like again, the same thing on a lower grade that happened with COVID. Like people started to beg for the chip, and like people, oh sorry, beg for the vaccines.
Yep.
Mhm.
People
And they
started to be like, it's like,
now I was saying, and if you were in a privileged position to get it first, certain man were boasting.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
one
yeah,
yeah.
one
actually,
guy
bro.
I would say one guy I worked with, he was
I
working with
remember.
St. John's Ambulance. So because he works part-time with St. John Ambulance, yeah, that he got priority, right?
Yeah,
So he was gassed, yeah. And he started bare boasting. Obviously, there's bare ethnics in the workplace, and we're just he's ethnic as well. And we were all looking at man sideways, like, yo, what's man doing? Like, we're all like, bro, you shouldn't do it. He's like, no, man, yeah, no, it's good. So he took it. He took the first dose, and then when he came into work, I weren't there, but when he came into work after he took the dose, he was there for like 2 hours, and then he collapsed.
Yeah.
I just knew I just knew that story wasn't gonna end well.
And then when he came back, yeah, because they had to call the ambulance and everything, yeah. And bro, bare shame, bro. And then man was like, "So you gonna take the second one?" He was like, "Oh, well, yeah, you gotta take it." He weren't as confident. He weren't as confident as yeah, but it's gonna be like that with the chip. Like certain people are gonna get it first, and they're gonna be boasting. Oh, I got my chip. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? They're gonna be, gassed.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Like
like I
that.
said, it's a lot of things.
Yep.
People with medical problems, that
Hmm.
that side of it is gonna have a shortage too, and a
Hmm.
logistical issue. So you got a lot of people, especially in America, they've got medical issues that need treating. And if that system breaks down, you think they wouldn't take the chip in order to get access to their medical care? They'll take 2 chips. They'll take the chip, they'll take the medical implant. They say to him, okay, you got to take this chip and you got to take this medical implant so we can monitor your vital signs, and then you can get access to some insulin. They're going to take it, bro.
Mhm. Especially building on what Elder Ariala says all the time, which is we're in a small echo chamber, if you will, where amongst us, the idea of taking the mark of the beast is like, why would anyone do that? But when
Yep.
you speak to a lot of people in the world,
They're
they'll
ready.
be like, they may be like, I don't know if I would, but you can tell if push comes to nudge, not even shove,
Yeah,
they'll take
nice.
it.
Yeah. Yep.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
of
take
course.
it.
Of course. These influencers will take it if it means they can still keep access to their means of making money. There's loads of different pressures. We're just talking about food, but there's
Yeah.
loads of different pressures within the system that will make people be like, yeah, I'll take it. I gotta get electricity, or I gotta get water, I gotta get medication.
Bro,
Some
these
people,
are the same.
sorry,
No, just sorry. These are the same people that got the jab for a Krispy Kreme donut. So how
Mm,
much more? How much more real life situations? Huh? True.
that's it.
some people
Right.
it's gonna be for safety.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's people
Sure.
that's gonna be pressured by the family, and then as as well as what people always say. If you ain't got nothing to hide, then
Yeah,
why
yeah,
don't
yeah.
you?
Oh,
You know?
you saw that with what's his face, man? Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He had a whole bit during the CV, and it just goes. What was really interesting about that whole CV was just seeing how quickly he can use these different media personalities to sway the minds of the people. Because Jimmy Kimmel was basically like, "Look, man, if you're in a hospital and you ain't taking the juice, I don't care if you die, right?" And
Oh,
then the whole crowd's, yeah, this, that, and the other, right? That's what he said. So now imagine it's time for the MOTB.
bro,
Yeah, these
even on that. Yes, I'm sorry, Erdogan.
no, I was just saying that these influencers, these agents, they're gonna take it. They're gonna roll out
Yeah.
Andrew Tate. He's lost aura, clavicular. They're gonna roll out
Mm-hmm.
Myron Gaines is gonna take it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. These women, man, take the chip. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I, I was gonna say,
don't be a simp, man. Don't be a simp.
yeah, yeah, simp. But, I was saying, remember during the jab, they started using this buzz term of the plague of the unvaxxed.
Mm.
Remember they were saying that. So then soon it'll be the plague of the unchipped.
Yep.
You know, is you're causing this issue.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. You're killing grandma, which that was evil. It's like, how do you?
I didn't kill good grandma, man. Grandma got diabetes, man.
Yeah,
It
no,
has
for
nothing to
real,
do with me.
for real,
I'm
for real.
saying she got fucking arthritis.
And what killed grandma more than anything was people leaving them up to their own devices,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
lonely in the damn house, but
yeah.
for real.
dying of loneliness.
Shit,
But, you know what I mean?
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you look at what they were doing during that CV, it was horrific, man.
that was
What
horrific,
was
man.
it? What'd you call it? Let me see if I can get a quick image of this, man. They were doing all of this stuff because people couldn't have someone with them in their dire moments, man.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
That's
That,
Satan,
I
man.
can't believe they convinced me.
That's Satan, bro.
That was horrific, bro.
That's crazy.
That was, bro. Do you remember when those people kissing through a big sheet? You know,
Oh man.
bro. You know what?
Yeah.
That's how you know that's a small hat thing. Because the small hat have that thing where they cut through the sheet. Yeah, that's a small. That's how you know that was a small hat experiment, man.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, man. Esau, boy.
That is horrendous.
You're telling me these people ain't gonna take the mark? They
Yeah.
gonna take the mark.
These are some high IQ. And you know, and the real thing is, yeah, in London, it was kind of difficult for them because the ethnics weren't going for it, man.
Yeah,
Everybody was like, "No, man, you know, bro, I'm used to running from lions in the jungle, bro. I ain't worried about no damn coronavirus, bro. Like,
you know.
I'm from the jungle, you know what I mean? Like, man's got poisonous arachnids and shit,
You
bro.
know.
Man's telling me about some damn sneeze. The hell
You
out
know.
of here, man.
Jake, them eating expired stew, and you're telling him that he has to. You know what I mean? Like,
Niggas
uh,
buying up all the expired noodles, man, in the shops, man.
yeah, you've been doing it.
Yeah,
You
man,
know.
those jokes. Yeah, these Edomites, they're just the lowest IQ people there is, man. That's insane. That's real heathenistic when you think about it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
man. Yeah,
And
let's
it's all Edomite. It's all Edomites. You can see.
it's always eating, man. It's never niggas. It's never niggas, man.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, Jake's too worried about drip. Jake's like, like, bro, what are we actually doing here?
That is
But
some
but
that's
the
horrendous.
but the babies, left out,
Yeah,
Through
and they're smiling. Look at them.
these
look at
high
them,
IQ, bro.
bro.
Crazy.
That's some smart. That's some small hat shit, bro. Th- That's literally what they be doing in the bedroom. That's them, bro. That's crazy.
Oh
Damn.
my goodness, man. Wow.
Mm.
Strange. Deliver me from the hand of strange children. Yeah. Go on out.
Yes, to wrap it up, says the key insight of Genesis 47, the passage is powerful because the surrender happens progressively. Says the people themselves say, buy us and our land for food, meaning survival pressure can make populations willingly exchange freedom for stability. That dynamic can
Which is
appear.
what you're doing.
Mm.
You know, when you're taking the MOTB, you're basically willingly putting yourself into perpetual slavery under Esau Edom. And that's one of the reasons why the elect ain't gonna take the chip, because we've been bought by the Lord. The Lord has secured the elect for salvation. So it is that can't happen. That's why the Lord won't allow any of the elect to be to enter into that agreement, that covenant. You know what I'm saying? But it's absolutely slavery. And then you gotta ask yourself, well, if they've been planning to implement this system this whole time, then this whole idea that they freed Jake and they care about liberty was all a lie. Because the whole time post the civil rights movement, what have they been doing? Building up the system for the MOTB, which is slavery. So their idea that they want to free Jake was never sincere to begin with.
Mm.
It's not sincere, because how can you say, "Oh, I want to free you," but I'm also building a system for your enslavement? That don't make no sense. So that shows you Esau never had a change of heart. He was just being subtle.
Yep, the scripture says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
That's right.
Words were softer than oil, yet there was drawn swords. And the scripture in Ecclesiasticus 12 touches about never trust thine enemy, because in his heart he's thinking of how to overthrow you, man. You know?
That's
You
it.
know, I was just thinking about that light skin Jake in Florida. They're gonna give him the chip anyway.
Oh yeah. He chipped already. He's coming out next week. Yeah, he chipped already, man.
No, what? But even on that, you joke, but a lot of the UK has basically been rewriting a lot of the policies around jailing, because the jails are quote full, right?
Yep.
And so when you read Revelation 13, it speaks about free and bond to receive a mark, right? So don't be surprised if more and more you're going to start seeing people taking the MOTB to for lower sentences.
Yep. Well, they're
Yep.
gonna have to have ration in there too.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
gonna chip them regardless. But yeah, that too. But they all gonna get chipped.
that's it.
And if they don't get chipped, then they won't eat.
Hmm.
Mm.
You know, unless the Lord's with them.
That's right. That's right. So it says that dynamic can appear in many forms throughout history: feudal systems, company towns, debt economies, authoritarian states, extreme corporate monopolies. It says digital dependency systems. The warning many people take from the chapter is not merely about famine, but about how prolonged crisis can centralize power and reduce individual autonomy over time.
Yeah.
And
So you know, Esau Edom, you know, we always go back to this Trump guy. He sold
mm,
man this whole thing about, you know, making America great again, and people thought that meant that the average man, you know, the middle class was going to come back roaring again. The working class man was going to. No, the goal of Trump and the people he works for is to weaken the people as much as possible, to make them bow down and sign up and kiss the golden ring. That's the whole purpose. So yeah, they're gonna up your petrol prices. Yeah, they're gonna up your healthcare. They're gonna make everything as bad as possible so they could bring a solution to you. Oh, okay, you know, we know you're suffering, because people are gonna be crying out for help.
Mm.
FEMA. Where FEMA at? Remember, they used to have the cardboard thing with FEMA on there. FEMA help.
Mm. That's it.
Yo, what's the government gonna do? Where's George Bush? That's what they're gonna say. You know, go on now.
That's it. Yeah, and so that was it on that one.
Okay.
I think I think there's a bit. Isn't there a bit when you scroll down where
Nope.
okay, yeah, it's probably like a one of my other folders, or like a one of them. But I mean, even there, even says digital dependency systems, which is just which is the chip.
Mm,
Because right, like we said, when the rationing comes and the food shortages come, they ain't got no time to get everyone to do what they did in Nazi Germany or in World War I, World War II, and have a pen and paper and write the details. No, the ultimate form of rationing, all right, and being able to know who gets what and who does this or who does that is going to be based around the chip. You know, it's straight. That's going to be the best way. In
And
fact, I think
The UK has done it before, so
yeah,
they
you
know
could
how
done
to
it
do
before.
it. You know, it's
Yeah.
just and one of the triggers for it was at first when you have these shortages, what happens is because we live in a capitalistic society where if you got the money, you could bid up the price. What you'll
Mm,
start seeing happen is the shortages will appear among the poor first. Like the guys that shopping at Waitrose and shopping at M&S won't see the same shortages because they know that their consumers will pay extra and not be bothered. So if
mm,
you're like, for instance, if you're like in the top 10% in the UK, your food prices could quadruple and you probably won't even, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Your food prices could double or triple and you won't even notice.
Mm,
Okay, because you got so much disposable income, you can afford to do that. Whereas, so if you have a shortage, what happens is the food will automatically start concentrating itself to those who can afford the higher prices,
mm,
right? And that in itself causes a crisis. And then what happened? Then the government steps in because they're your friend and be like, okay, well, there's too much price gouging, so we need to come in, control the price and control the supply because the poor people can't get the food because the rich people are buying it all. And it will sound good. Oh yeah, they're helping us. When really what they're doing is coming in and taking control of the supply. Because
mm,
that's what happened in UK. That was happening. Like the rich people were coming in and paying 3-4 times for the cheese and buying up all the cheese, so no one else could get none.
mm,
Okay, cool. We'll do the rationing books and control it so everyone can get it fairly, rich and poor. And they tell you that in the adverts. If you go back and you watch all the old infomercials they produce, yes, so rich and poor can get, it's the same. He calls it all rich and poor. It's the
yep.
same thing.
Same thing.
Everybody can get,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. Hey,
it's the
bro.
same playbook all over again, just in a digital form.
Bro. I was gonna say, could you just quickly type in there onto that same thread? How would this work with a microchip? That's a question I asked, and it will give you a couple ideas.
Yeah. Do that. That sounds good.
Yeah, because I actually did it on my phone, but I don't know why it didn't upload that part onto the thing.
Maybe you shared it before.
yeah.
Ah,
So the microchip-based system would not necessarily look like sci-fi. So it could emerge gradually as a convenience technology tied to identity payments, health records, or security. Today, companies like Neuralink and Arfid implant firms already explore implantable tech for medical or identification purposes, though current uses are limited and voluntary. Right? A realistic scenario might unfold like this. This is convenience adoption. People begin using biometric IDs, facial recognition, wearable payment devices, implantable RFID, NFC chips, which these first three are already more or less ubiquitous globally. Once again, most countries have a biometric passport.
yep,
And once again, this is countries you wouldn't expect to have biometric passport. This is just the norm. So expanding that system is not going to be that difficult
yep,
at all. So it's for opening doors, making payments, medical records, transit access, work identification. This already exists in small forms, employees using implanted chips for office access, digital wallets replacing cards, biometric airport systems. At first, it is marketed as faster, safer, impossible to lose, anti fraud. Most adoption would likely be voluntary.
Yeah,
Crisis in.
that's like with the passports. When the UK e-passports first came in, there was an
Hmm.
actual fast track line through customs if you had that passport,
Yeah.
which we would use.
Mhm. That's
I
it.
had it. I ain't gonna lie. Shit, I'm trying to
Yeah.
wait a
Yeah.
month. It
um,
was hella convenient.
yeah. It goes on to say crisis increases acceptance after repeated crises, sees cybercrime, identity theft, financial fraud, T word, pandemics, banking instability. Gov-
Crisis. So the idea of a passport itself is a product of the World War.
Mhm.
Previous to that, the passports was not something that everybody had to have to travel. In fact, if you go the further you go back to history, a passport was basically like a protection pass. So if you were from the UK and you were traveling to France under the protection of the king, specifically, you'd get a passport so that if you run into any ruffians, on the way to, whatever you were going, business you was doing, you'd let them know, look, this is my passport. If you touch me, then you're basically touching the king and it's going to get peak. So that's what a passport was for. It was used in very specific formal situations. However, the
Mm.
average person didn't need to have a passport to travel. During the World War, through the crisis and spies, they said, okay, well, everyone has to have a passport and you're not going to have to produce this passport to prove who you are. And the people at first wanted to reject it, but they promised them and said, this will only last as long as the war.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. But as you know, that was a lie, and everyone needs a passport now to
Mhm.
cross borders.
Yeah.
So the actual passport we have is as a result of a crisis that came up with a temporary solution that became permanent,
Mm.
you know. And the same thing's gonna happen again with the chip. They'll say that's for security too. Oh, you got
Yeah.
illegal aliens, you got terrorists. We need to know
Yeah.
who everyone is, digital ID. So it's the same playbook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I just wanted for
No.
add that in.
No. I mean, it's sort of the same thing with the social security numbers in America. But back then, people was actually protesting it, thinking it was a mark of the beast back then. You know. So it shows you. You know. You know.
That's it.
Yeah. If it's something you can even no, I'm not saying type it in now, but it's something that brothers can look up.
Yeah, you
You
can look
know.
it up. You can look up the history of the passport
Yeah.
and it will give you all that information. At first, nobody wanted it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they only took it because of the World War.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's right.
I believe that was and yeah, I believe that was in the 50s in regards to yeah. It says I just got a quick quote here. It says during the early 1950s, social security number resistance, often rooted in the mark of the beast prophecy from the Bible's book of Revelation, culminated in notable protests. This anti-government sentiment sometimes overlapped with broader tax protests, so individuals and religious groups um, saying actively resist the federal tracking system. You know? So it says the most prominent opposition during this era involved the Texas Housewives protest, which was from 1951 to 54. A group of women in Texas staunchly refused to pay social security taxes on wages of the domestic employees. They argued that this system was unconstitutional and an overreach of federal power, taking the resistance all the way to the Supreme Court. But anyway, the point is, it just shows you, even back then, certain things kind of happen. People for that was the mark of the beast. Obviously, they didn't have the knowledge that we do have now, which is this RFID implantable chip. But that conversation has always been there, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it goes on to say, Christ accepted services governments, corporations may argue that strong identity verification is necessary. So a centralized digital identity becomes standard. People who refuse participation may find it harder to bank, travel, receive benefits, access healthcare, work certain jobs, not necessarily because of open persecution, but because systems become designed around participation.
Mhm.
Step three, it says integration with finance. A chip could eventually function as ID, bank account access, medical pass, transit pass, employment credential. Instead of carrying wallet, passport, keys, and cards, like for instance, I think about the fact that the UK government at the moment is working on a one ID,
Mhm.
right? So more and more services are basically being linked to the same login, so it's going to be easy to make that system one when the time comes. It says step four, behavioral control risk. The real concern would not be the chip itself, but who controls the network, ESOR. So it's who sets the rules, ESOR, whether access can be restricted. Says if accounts can be frozen, permission revoked, purchases limited, movement restricted, then the technology could become a tool of social or economic control, right? It's not a could, it will become a tool of that. Plus, also, that's just aside from the fact that you're sinning against the Most High. Um, a person could theoretically be alive, physically free, yet unable to fully participate in society without system approval.
Yeah,
Um,
that's that no man might buy or sell.
Yep.
yep. So it says that is the deeper fear many people associate with dystopian surveillance systems, digital authoritarianism, certain interpretation of biblical prophecy, such as the Book of Revelation 13. It says important reality check. There is it's going to blah blah.
Fuckers.
Um,
Yeah. You already want to scoff. But it's already here. It's already
Man,
here, man.
consider the source, man.
Yeah.
that's
That's
it.
it. But it just shows you how even back then, in a sense, Genesis 4:47, it just shows you how, in the midst of global or crises or whatever that's happening, shit, people just give up their rights and things over time, and in a large way, Esau's already put a lot of things into place to you know make people give up their rights with this, food shortages, straight up harm move situation, obviously plagues and pestilences which the Lord is bringing as well. So it's all speaking to the prophecy in Revelation 13, which we can probably finish up on that. But it's going to be a global system that's going to be established, and a lot of these things are already in place. Really, all that's needed is you to get chipped, you know, because the system's already built.
So it says Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Yep, that's exactly that's going to be established, man. They're going to state their claim. It's going to be seen as a place as a way out or a sentiment of salvation, a semblance of salvation. And guess what? It's not. It's just going to be complete slavery anyway. And as the scripture says in Revelation 14, if you take it, then you're going to be judged, man. But we as the hopeful elect, we ain't going to take it.
That's right.
You know?
I remember I worked with this one Mali youth, yeah,
Mm.
and so we were talking about Elon Musk, and he was like, "Yeah, if Elon Musk went to Mars, I'd go on a ship with him." And I was like, we was looking at this nigga sideways, man. Like, yo, what?
Yeah, yeah. But
What?
the only way you gonna make it to Mars is in a pot of soup. They gonna cook his ass on the ship.
This shit go turn
Yeah.
into a Diddy party like 5 minutes outside the Earth's orbit, bro.
Yeah,
Nasty,
innit? Yeah,
nasty.
innit? He ain't never coming back.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if you brothers have anything, you
No,
know.
that was pretty
Elder.
much it, man. You know, brothers have
Mhm.
spoken about all these different things, man. Luke 21 as well goes into that, the perplexity of nations. So we're literally in that time. We're seeing the idea of shortages happening in real time, and it's not just one thing. You know, even with because they've built their whole global economy off oil, it's
Mm,
affecting so many things. Like man, talking about helium, it's affecting which helium
mm.
shortages affects the ability for you to do use
Control.
microscopes
Oh,
Mm.
in
right.
certain labs. So it's like the whole thing that there's so many ramifications of just the oil shortage that it's just putting a spanner in this the whole globe. You know,
Mm.
there's so many things that's happening, and it's gonna get peak, and it's really being normalized. No one ain't really talking about it like how it should be talked about because they don't want the people to really be panicking yet. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Yep.
UK is literally just sleepwalking into this thing. Like,
Yep.
you know, they're more concerned about some immigration march, unite
Yeah.
Britain. Like, you know, oi,
That was a
oi.
walking skit. Oi, oi. Like, that was a walking skit, bro. Like, this dude was playing the violin. What was he playing? Was he playing the whatever he was playing with bacon on him? That was
Oi,
horrendous.
oi.
With
Yeah,
bacon.
yeah, man. The Baconites are just worried about, the illegal immigrants. Yeah. You know, they're coming over here, you know, all that. It's like, bro, like, shut up, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
Wait, so hold on. If they're coming over here and taking your job, why did you have a job before they came over here?
Yeah,
You know
bro.
what I mean? I'm just on benefits.
Yeah,
You know?
that's they, and now you're gonna see a lot more of that too. Xenophobia. You're seeing that in South Africa,
South Africa, yeah.
places like that where people are gonna start picking on foreigners.
Yeah.
You know, and that's gonna cause people to want to go back to where they come from because you know, hey, foreigners do get picked when all hell breaks loose. People start looking at foreigners sideways. That's just how the game
Yeah.
goes, man. You know, they gotta find someone to blame. So yeah, man, it's definitely getting peak. So brothers, just stay locked in, man, and trust in Yahweh Hashem Yoshai. Because in the carnal sense, it's gonna look crazy when this shit hits the fan. And if you're carnal, you're gonna get caught out there with Esau,
Mm,
you know. But if you're spiritual, you're gonna stick with the Lord, man. He gonna find a way. Cause the Lord could do anything in any situation.
mhm,
He's always here and he's always present and ready. And we've
mm,
seen that from reading the scriptures. That's why the Bible says faith comes through hearing of the word. You read about all these different things that the Lord has done for our people, man, in past times. Manna coming from heaven, quails coming out of nowhere, water coming out of rocks, like the Yahweh Shai fed the multitude with what? Five, what was it? 5 loaves of bread,
Mm-hmm.
2 fish or something like that. That's crazy. The Lord might have to have stuff like that happen, man. Brothers just got like a one Guinness and a you know, one Guinness and a pack of plantain chips, and the thing just not finishing.
yeah, for real.
Man sharing it out, and man just got bare Guinness, bro, bare plantain chips out of nowhere. It's got, you know what I mean? Anything could happen, man.
Anything can happen, bro.
You know, but
Anything.
rather trust in that than trust in Esau. Because like we said, like if you worship Esau, you trust in him, you're gonna end up paying the price, man.
Mhm.
You know, that's Revelations 14 and 9. So
Mm.
that's we can close up if you ain't got nothing.
All right, kind of. So, hey, so with that, we're gonna say all praise be to
Yahweh,
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 Hashem,
Bashem,
Yahweh
Yahweh
Shai,
Shai,
Bashem, Kakodash.
Rakadash,
The one honest apostles knows the great Nostrum.
double
And
honors.
next time we're gonna say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.